time. But yeah, so again, like Hannes said, I don't think it's a mistake like opening like even wider than this. But again, you need to consider like the people behind you. If they're three betting a lot, you probably could be tighter. But remember though that most of the time the profits are not made from early position. Under the gun +1, and middle position. So keep in mind that I used to try to play as many hands as possible from under the gun, but it's just not possible to do it with, like, you should be way more elastic, or how to say, flexible with your range, like when it comes to late positions. Again, early position, it's going to be really tough to make like way more hands than, let's say, 17% to make profitable, even if you have poor opponents, because like the chance of somebody having really good hand is just so high. So again, I don't think these are the positions. Your main goal should be like, your main goal 200 big blind deep from under the gun is to play solid hands. Like, don't, like, I've tried, believe me, I tried for a lot of years. I tried to make it profitable. And yes, I guess like if you play super poor players, you can probably open like a few percent more, but don't be so dynamic from the early position. The hands you open, like let's say if you widen range here, you start opening ace 9 off, they just play so poorly. King jack off, maybe you can get away if it's soft table, but like don't go crazy. It's just not that profitable. Again, because there's so many players behind, there's a so good chance we get 3-bet. They have really good hand. You're out of position, poor position. This is not the position you will increase your win rate by big margins. Muteke is not the position where you increase your profitability a lot. So again, I guess the positions which really matter are cutoff, button, small blind, and big blind, because like I guess these positions are played the most. So again, these situations you should be targeting very much, because like for example, if you play badly from big blind, you might be punting a lot of money because you're losing already the big blind, right? And if you're playing small blind, again, you have to play fairly frequently, and then button you're opening over 50% of time if it's folded to you. So again, it's like if these positions you're doing poorly or you're not doing as well as you should really study, because this is where you will make a lot of money. So basically, focus on the positions you play very often, and that's where the profitability comes from. And after you fix these, focus on the other positions. Of course, make sure that your under the gun opening range is actually profitable. So go through your hands. How much are you making opening under the gun? If you see you're opening too many hands, let's say I was trying to open at some point 25%. Was I making money under the gun? No. I was losing money because too often I would just have to check fold, or I would have jack 10 off or something stupid, and the villains would have king jack off, and I would lose 2 streets. Or again, it takes tremendous skill to play as well from under the gun because you're just bad position. So let's see some AP plans. Yeah, this is pretty good. Yeah, this looks pretty decent. I think 8. I'm not certain, but maybe it could be still. How many percentages are you opening? It depends on that. That could be interesting to know. But yeah, that looks solid, 14%. So that could be potentially like increased. I think you could open. Yeah, 3% is more. I would try at least, see how it goes. You could maybe make a bit more. It is a good win rate though. But maybe if you add a few more percentage. Again, don't go crazy. Actually, this is another good point. Thanks for sending that, Hannes. Then adjusting to new idea. Don't go crazy. Again, like, you know, if I'm telling you like, do check raising, do a lot of check raising. That does not mean you go 100% check raise here and that doesn't mean go like 100%. 3-bet this guy, don't go 100%. Again, like that just means like in this case, I want Hannes to go 2% more. Okay, so he increased 60 to 16%. If he sees that increase his win rate, he checks it like let's say in a couple months. Again, the sample size is probably still a bit too little, because of course, like we would like to have. So this is interesting. Okay. Extensive. Yeah, but again, this is most one. This is very interesting. H5 off, okay. But yeah, exactly. Like when you look at sample size, sometimes it's also tough to say. Like sometimes I see weird hand I opened because it's bounty builder and there was somebody all in. I opened Jack 4 off and it's showing plus. Doesn't mean it's actually plus to open. Oh yeah, actually filter also for the stack size, because obviously if you're jamming, it's going to be fairly profitable to jam something. I'm surprised King Queen off is a minus, so that's kind of surprising. But also remember, like filter for the right things. Like let's say filter the hands for the right what you are looking for. 6 max table, 9 max table, stack size. So again, that's why we need kind of bigger sample size. So if you don't have personally enough hands, maybe find a buddy who you could share hands with potentially. So you could like put like, especially it's better to like compare with somebody who is also profitable, because like for example, I was looking at some hand to note, which is like database study software basically. I was looking at what population is opening from button, and basically like they are not even winning with king jack off opening button, basically the recreational guys. So they win with almost nothing, like no hands they are winning. So if you're looking at somebody who's not very good, it can kind of screw up the results. So make sure that you're looking at somebody who's a little bit similar. Yeah. Oh yeah, this is very solid. But yeah, so again, this is good point, because like your early position is very profitable. This is very good. But when I look at this, so how can we improve this higher potentially? Like there's only one way we can really make it better, unless we think we are leaking post flop. But only way we can make this higher is if we open a couple percentage more. So try that, open a bit wider and see how it goes. But also filter out the shorter stack size and see how it goes. It's very important to have the right stack size. Like let's say, because if we compare Snowy, for example, I think when we are talking deep stack, we open different hands. So I think it would change. Okay, let me take a picture of this. So, okay, so I have it here. So let's change this to 20 big blinds. I assume, okay, I will actually take also this. For example, so our raising range should change based on the stack size too, I think. Okay, let me open 20 big blinds. Or actually, maybe I can just do this. Not sure if this works, but should be fine. Okay, or is it the same? Let's see. So you can see that this is 2.5x open. On the left side, this is 200 big blinds deep, and this is 20 big blinds deep. So as you can see, there's already difference. We are actually opening like ace-3 suited is like here, less open 20 big blinds, but you see that ace-6 is more valuable. Like ace-10 off is open 100%. You see that king jack off is open 100%, and yet now we are folding queen jack off still. But you can see that, for example, the pocket pairs perform worse. I guess because so many players have still ace, so the blocker effect is kind of important with the shorter stack. So for example, ace-10 off goes higher value than the pockets, So it's kind of interesting, because like if you open sevens, I guess we can call some 3-bets, but like, I guess if you open seven, somebody 3-bets or shoves, we are just folding. And you can see that the hands are a little bit different. Actually, yeah, for sure. If you're playing bounties, I think the most common problem is that people play ratio edge ranges and they play in bounty tournament. I think this is something I've been studying a little bit, is that most of the people open way too wide in bounties with 20 big blind. Like, you can look at it with ICM. I'm sure we will cover it in some other lesson. But if you open 20 big blinds in Bounty Builder, it's very easy to exploit you. And why is that? Why is it easy to exploit you if you open very wide 20 big blinds in Bounty Builders? Well, obviously, this is kind of easy. It's not. Yeah, exactly. Because again, yeah, you need less equity, and basically, the bigger stacks, they just want to gamble against you. The bigger stacks just want to gamble against you. So this is totally different. Like, think about the mindset difference in bounty and freeze-out. In bounty and freeze-out. Bounty, let's gamble, boys. Give me booty. Like, and freeze-out. Let's not risk the tournament with a marginal shove. So there's definitely like, this is a big difference in mindset of the regulars as well, but also your mindset should be. Exactly, because like, when I was looking at this, I was shocked because I noticed that, let's say past few months, 6 months, the PKOs got way more aggressive and people were 3-betting me a lot. And I look at it and I was like, damn, people are 3-betting me every hand I open short stack, and that is perfectly normal. That is perfectly correct, because I have so hard time adjusting if I'm opening like normal ranges, because first of all, they can basically 3-bet call me very wide, like ace-10 suited, like 20 big blinds is pretty fine call even versus under the gun. I think that's very close, I think. But the point is, most of the people open way too much, because like when I look at something like, if you open button like normal 50% range or 40%, whatever it is, you can be exploited quite a bit by jamming very wide range, and it's always super profitable. That's basically what population is not adjusting. So that's something I changed in my own strategy. So just play open way tighter ranges. That's where the population is going. A couple of years ago, that wasn't the case. Nobody was really paying attention to shoving wide or something like that. So you could still open fairly normal ranges, to be honest. But keep in mind, though, people do not realize bounties are not worth that much later on. So again, population, even regs, they keep chasing those bounties. Like when it's final table bubble and somebody has more bounty, there's basically no EV calling wider than the ICM, because it's meaningless bounty at that point, because the stack depth, the stacks are so huge. So people over adjust like at the later game, I feel like, but earlier on people are too tight in a way. So it's kind of a little bit like people are becoming aggressive, but later on it's not worth that much the bounty.
Marco, do you change your strategy at all if somehow you're deep in a tournament with a micro bounty? Let's say for whatever reason, everyone's sitting there with $200 bounties and you're there with your big $10 bounty. Do you actually change your play at all to thinking people won't be as excited about your bounty, or do you just assume people are too stupid to realize a bounty's a bounty? Ooh, I'm very excited to get this bounty worth $12, and risk most of my stack, when it's essentially you're playing a knockout from their perspective, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a good question, because like I remember doing it in one bounty tournament. It was kind of late stages. I had like almost no bounty, and it was on GG Poker, I think, and it was some Chinese guy. But I thought like, okay, so I have almost no bounty. I have 12 big blinds. I have fold equity. So I jam deuces because I expect him not to call like, he opened like button. I was like small blind. And he ends up calling like king 3 suited. Then I'm like, oh my God, he calls with king 3 suited. So again, I think most of the people, especially recreational, they really don't realize that it's like you will end up flipping way too often, I think. Because at that point, the bounty shouldn't matter. He shouldn't call me with king 3 suited, you know. So I think that was a good lesson to me. That especially is in my mind. So it's just like I think this is very important that look at the table and identify the bounty. I don't want to use so nasty word. Bounty hunters, guys who are willing to risk their whole stack to win a bounty. So you will realize like some people are, yeah, exactly. Yeah, people don't realize that your bounty is meaningless and it's just, oh, $10. But yeah, exactly. Like let's say that tournament where I had deuces, the win was probably like a couple thousand and my bounty was like meaningless, like $10 exactly. Yet he snap calls with king 3 suited. And then you're like, okay, I'm a fool, you know? So exactly. So I think it's very important again that you identify the bounty hunters in a way. Well, I guess it's like, I think it's like common knowledge 33% of the starting stack is added to the pot. So let's say whatever the starting stack is, like let's say in normal bounty, it's like 5,000. So if somebody, so 5,000 x 7.3. So you see like you would add like 1,650 to the pot basically. So you're getting a little bit better price always for the call basically. Add it to the bot when someone's all in. Again, if they're not all in, then of course you can't add it. But I think that's something like we don't know yet. There's no solvers for bounties, at least not to my knowledge. If there is, happy to hear because I'd love to count something. But that's something like I think bounties we are probably playing totally wrong. I assume that's going to be revolutionized at some point because like when we have the programs to calculate these, I think people's mind will explode probably. I think it to common sense to me would make sense that if you cover somebody, you should always call bit wider than EV wise, like you would normally call, because like if you stack somebody with good bounty, I think it makes sense that our calling is worth more because we can win his bounty. So like it should effective positively us calling pre-flop because he has big bounty, for example. I think to me that makes common sense. So if I see huge bounty, I think I'm calling bit wider, for example, pre-flop. I think it makes sense. I can't prove this, but to me it makes sense. So sometimes I do instinct stuff like that. I can't really back it up